Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishne Swadhamo Bhagate Dhanamajnanadibhisaha Kalau Nashtatrishamisha Puranarko Dhunodita Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2. Today we're on text number 7. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojataha Janayati Ashu Vairagnyam Jnanam Cha Yat Ahaitakam Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayati Ashu Vairagnyam Jnanam Cha Yadahaitakam Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayati Ashu Vairagyam Jnanam Cha Yadahaitakam Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayati Ashu Vairagyam Jnanam Cha Yadahaitakam Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Ladies, Bhakti Yoga Vasudeve. Unto Krishna. Bhagavati. Unto the personality of Godhead. Bhakti Yoga. Contact of devotional service. Prayojitaha. Being applied. Janayati. Does produce. Ashu. Very soon. Vairagyam. Detachment. Jnanam. Knowledge. Cha. And. Yet. That which. Ahaitakam. Causeless. Translation. By rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. Please repeat. By rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, founder and Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, Savior of the modern world. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Those who consider devotional service to the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna to be something like material, emotional affairs may argue that in the revealed scriptures, sacrifice, charity, austerity, knowledge, mystic powers, and similar other processes of transcendental realization are recommended. According to them, bhakti, or the devotional service of the Lord, is meant for those who cannot perform the high-grade activities. Generally, it is said that the bhakti cult is meant for the Shudras, Vaishyas, and the less intelligent woman class. But that is not the actual fact. The bhakti cult is the topmost of all transcendental activities, and therefore it is simultaneously sublime and easy. It is sublime for the pure devotees who are serious about getting in contact with the Supreme Lord. And it is easy for the neophytes who are just on the threshold of the house of bhakti. To achieve the contact of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Sri Krishna is a great science, and it is open for all living beings, including the Shudras, Vaishyas, women, and even those lower than the low-born Shudras. So what to speak of the high-class men like the qualified Brahmanas and the great self-realized kings? The other high-grade activities, designated as sacrifice, charity, austerity, etc., are all corollary factors following the pure and scientific bhakti cult. The principles of knowledge and detachment are two important factors on the path of transcendental realization. The whole spiritual process leads to perfect knowledge of everything material and spiritual. And the results of such perfect knowledge are that one becomes detached from material affection and becomes attached to spiritual activities. Becoming detached from material things does not mean becoming inert altogether, as men with a poor fund of knowledge think. Naishkarma means not undertaking activities that will produce good or bad effects. Negation does not mean negation of the positive. Negation of the non-essentials does not mean negation of the essential. Similarly, detachment from material forms does not mean nullifying the positive form. The bhakti cult is meant for realization of the positive form. When the positive form is realized, the negative forms are automatically eliminated. Therefore, with the development of the bhakti cult, with the application of positive service to the positive form, one naturally becomes detached from inferior things, and he becomes attached to superior things. Similarly, the bhakti cult, being the supermost occupation of the living being, leads him out of material sense enjoyment. That is the sign of a pure devotee. He is not a fool, nor is he engaged in the inferior energies, nor does he have material values. This is not possible by dry reasoning. It actually happens by the grace of the Almighty. In conclusion, one who is a pure devotee has all other good qualities, namely knowledge, detachment, etc. But one who has only knowledge or detachment is not necessarily well acquainted with the principles of the bhakti cult. Bhakti is the supermost occupation of the human being. Om Jnana Timanantasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Mukam Karoti Vachalam Bungam Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhubhyaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayati Ashu Vairagyam Jnanam Cha Yadahaitakam. By rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. Yesterday we heard that the supreme occupation for all humanity is that by which one can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. So, one can question, what form does that satisfaction take? What does it mean to be completely satisfied in the self? Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur raises this question. What is that Atma Prasada? Prasada means satisfaction. Why do we say prasadam? What does prasadam mean? Grace. Because when you're satisfied, you become benevolent. Just like if you want to get someone's blessings, first you feed him. Then once you've given him prasadam, he'll give you prasad. So prasade sarva dukkhanam hanir asyopajayate. Krishna tells Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. In a state of grace, so to speak, prasade, all of one's miseries are automatically diminished, and one's intelligence becomes fixed in Krishna consciousness. So, when our devotion is unmotivated, then it can be also uninterrupted. And when we are engaged in devotional service, prayojita, the word is used here, then automatically we become full of knowledge and we automatically become detached as well. This is the point. So, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has also looked at this word prayojita. It's very important. Prayojita. The verbal root is yuj. Yuj means to join or to unite. Just like my godbrother Mukunda-datta Prabhu, he often emphasizes this under this definition of the word yoga. Now, yoga is a very popular term. People want yoga, but they don't want to unite with Krishna. They want to unite, if anything, with someone else. So, the word yoga is very important. And he says, prayojita. Yojita means he's been joined. And prakarshena yojita. The prefix pra here means in a particular way, in a special way, in a very intense way. So he defines it, sambandha dasya sakyadi sambandha yukta krita iti yavat. The idea is that he is engaged in service to Krishna in a way that is specific, either in a mood of servitude, or in a mood of friendship, or in parental affection, or in madhurya, romantic affection. That's one interpretation. Then he gives another interpretation of the same word. He says, prayojita means prayojanikrita. He has attained his prayojana. What does prayojana mean? The ultimate goal, exactly. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy looks at all things, all life, and certainly Krishna conscious life, in three very important ways. What's the first one? Sambandha Gyan. Sambandha Gyan is absolutely necessary. Because without Sambandha Gyan, we cannot chant the holy name without offense. What does Sambandha Gyan mean? What does Sambandha itself mean? Relationship. Relationship. You have to understand relationship. And we take so much training in life. When we get a career, we're prepared to go to school for 4 or 5 years. We pay thousands of dollars. We may take some technical training in our specific chosen profession, and nowadays especially they have ongoing courses to refresh us as well, keep us sharp, fine-tuned. We put so much endeavor into this, and we put so much research when we make an important decision such as buying a house. You want to see everything, all aspects of it. But when it comes to relationships, we don't have any preparation at all. We're just thrown in the water. You see? And therefore we find that our relationships don't work a lot of the time. So relationship is very important. To understand all relationships, the nature of relationship, that's very important. And relationship doesn't just mean with God. It means our relationship with this material world as well. It means our relationship with the other living beings, whether they be humans or demigods or lower species. Everything relates. Everything is related. Everything is interconnected. Whatever one person does, it affects others. So, prayojana. Prayojana means when we have an understanding of the basic relationship between ourselves and the Supreme Lord, His creation, and His parts and parcels. When we're not in illusion about that, then we can begin to progress to the next stage, which is abhidheya. That's the denotation of the idea here of bhakti. What does bhakti actually mean? It means to serve the Lord. How to serve the Lord? Specifically, practically, to be engaged in the Lord's service. So that's the first definition that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has given for the word prayojita, to be engaged. That's literally what it means. But then he goes on to say that prayojana, prayojanikrita, that means to have attained your goal thereby. You cannot attain steadfast engagement in Krishna consciousness if you have faulty sambandha gyan. It won't work. You keep falling down, or you go astray in so many ways and you have to be pulled back by someone's mercy. See, that's because of faulty sambandha gyan. So the first stage is absolutely imperative. And by whose grace do we get this? Madan Mohan. Guru, you can say in the form of Madan Mohan, Madan Gopal. He is the one who establishes us in sambandha gyan. Govinda Dev, the second of the three Gaudiya Vaishnava deities, he engages us in devotional service. And Prayojana, to reach the perfection, stage of perfection, that is affected by Gopi Jana Vallabha. Therefore, those who are twice initiated and chant the Gayatri Mantra, Gopal Mantra, we meditate on these three deities: Krishna, Govinda, Gopi Jana Vallabha. That means Madan Mohan, Govinda, and Gopinath. In this way, we make progress. If we are intense, Prakarshin, I mentioned already, means also intense. So these are two ways to understand Prayojita. Then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, regarding the word ashu. Ashu means, anybody know? Yeah, quickly. And it's interesting. Srila Prabhupada translates this as immediately. Immediately. Practically speaking, after we've been in 8,400,000 different species of life, and who knows how many times in each one, we're rotating from birth to birth to birth to birth to birth. Again and again, we keep dying and keep taking birth again to finish up our unfinished business. And when we come to Krishna consciousness, we feel some immediate relief. It's true. That's what attracts us about Krishna consciousness. There is immediate effect. And it very quickly produces two things. What are those two things? Knowledge and detachment. So he says, he quotes from the 11th canto, Bhakti pareshano bhavo virakti anyatra chaishatrika ekakalaha prapadyamanasya yathashnataha syuhu tushti pushti kshud apayonukasam. When we eat, this is the analogy that we often hear Prabhupada gives. When we eat something, nobody has to tell us whether we're satisfied. Automatically, with every bite, our hunger is diminished, our body is nourished, and our tongue is pleased. You see? That's automatic. Nobody has to tell you. You know. And so in the same way, when we engage in bhakti yoga, we automatically gain direct experience of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, detachment from anything that is not the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the happiness of devotional service. This is the idea. So then he says there's a qualification for this. And this is what we're finding, this qualification in the last line. Vairagyam jnanam cha parantu yad ahaitukam. Ahaitukam. What does ahaituka mean? That's apratihata. Ahaituka means there's no hetu. Hetu, what does hetu mean? Cause. That's one meaning. There are actually two major meanings for this word, hetu. One, no. Cause is one meaning, motive is the other meaning. And in either case, it's the same. It has no cause and it also has no motive. This is the point. So ahaitaki. Without cause means it's not caused by karma, and it's not caused by gyan, and it's not caused by yoga, this bhakti yoga. Although those things help very much, but actually bhakti is independent. Bhakti itself is the active ingredient in karma and gyan and yoga. Without some admixture of bhakti, these things have no real benefit. This is the point. So, ahaitukam means there's no cause, for one thing. And then secondly, there's no motive. What kind of motive might we have? Well, I'm engaging in devotional service so that I can get whatever it is that we want in this world. Something for my sense gratification. You see? Or Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur specifically mentions here, without any motive for liberation. We're not trying to exploit the Lord's creation. We're not trying to exploit the living entities. We're not even trying to exploit the Lord himself. Sometimes they do that, sahajas. So we're not interested in bhoga. Bhoga means personal enjoyment. Karma is ultimately about that. In most cases, people are motivated by a desire to exploit. And then on the other hand, when we make a mess of things by exploiting or trying to exploit, Since we're not God, we really can't do so well at that. And therefore we suffer reactions. And when the reactions become intolerable, then we seek what? Huh? We seek, but the essence of renunciation is? Chuti! I'm free. That's called mukti, liberation. And gyan is ultimately meant at liberation. So, either we try to exploit the Lord or his creation, or we try to escape the Lord or his representatives. But one way or the other, we're trying to exploit. So, that's called haitukam, having a motive or having even a cause. So, bhakti is without that. But it's not that we're not interested in karma or jnana. We are interested definitely in both. Can you imagine devotional service without activity? Of course not. It's impossible. But we're interested in divya karma. And similarly, every morning we pray to Srila Prabhupada, divya gyan, hriday prakashita. We want that kind of gyan. So that kind of gyan is okay. Gyan about knowledge of the Lord and his form and his pastimes, and a sambandha gyan, abhideya gyan, prayojana gyan. This thing we want. Okay, so Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also points out for us that we find a very similar idea is expressed in the 4th canto. When Prachina Barahishat asked Narad Muni to please explain this story that you've told me about whom? Puranjana. It's allegorical, so it wasn't really clear to him what give me the purport, he's asking. So Narad Muni does that. And a very interesting statement he makes in texts 36 through 38 of the 4th canto, chapter 29. I'll just read it quickly. Anatmanortha bhutasya yato nartha parampara samsritistad vyavachedo bhaktya paramaya gurao vasudeve bhagavati bhakti yoga samahitaha sadhrichinena vairagyam jnanam cha janayashyati. Very similar verse. It means virtually the same thing. The real interest of the living entity is to get out of the nescience that causes him to endure repeated birth and death. The only remedy is to surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead through his representative. Unless one renders devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, one cannot possibly become completely detached from this material world, nor can he possibly manifest real knowledge. Very interesting point. And Srila Prabhupada points out for us in his purport, bhakti refers to those activities performed in the service of Lord Vasudeva. Because Lord Vasudeva is the Supreme, one should engage in his service, not in the service of the demigods. Devotional service begins from the neophyte stage, the stage of observing the rules and regulations, and extends to the point of spontaneous, loving service to the Lord. The purpose of all stages is to satisfy Lord Vasudeva. When one is perfectly advanced in the devotional service of Vasudeva, one becomes completely detached from the service of the body. That is, his designated position in material existence. In other words, Srila Prabhupada is saying here that our designated position in the material world is to serve our bodies. Raise your hand if you never serve your body. Okay, Madan Mohan never serves his body, but the rest of us, we serve our bodies. When the tongue, sorry. When the tongue demands, we have to put everything aside and follow what it wants. Or when the stomach, we were reading last night in Upadeshamritam, there's actually a difference between the demands of the tongue and the demands of the belly, correct? What is that difference? The tongue just wants some titillation. And the belly wants what? Fulfillment, it doesn't want to be hungry. It wants liberation, you can say, as we've already described. So, this is the idea. After becoming so detached, one becomes actually perfect in knowledge and engages perfectly in the service of Lord Vasudeva. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Jiver Sharubhai Krishner Nityodash. Every living entity is by constitutional position an eternal servant of Krishna. As soon as one engages in the service of Lord Vasudeva, he attains his normal constitutional position. This position is called the liberated stage. Muktir hitvanyatharupam sarupena vyavastitihi. In the liberated stage, one is situated in his original Krishna conscious position. He gives up all engagements in the service of matter, engagements concocted under the names of social service, national service, community service, dog service, automobile service, and so many other services conducted under the illusion of I and mine. As explained in the second chapter of the first canto, Prabhupada now quotes today's verse, Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayati Ashu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayat Ahaitakam. By rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead Shri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. One must engage in the service of Vasudeva without material desire, mental speculation, or fruitive activity. Now, since Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has quoted the following verse, text number 38, I'll do so as well. So chirad eva rajarshe, this is again Narad Muni speaking to Prachina Barhi, syad achyuta kathashrayaha shrinvataha shradhanasya nityada syad adhiyataha. O best of the kings, one who is faithful, who is always hearing the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is always engaged in the culture of Krishna consciousness, and in hearing of the Lord's activities, very soon becomes eligible to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. Here Srila Prabhupada very nicely comments as well. Constant engagement in the transcendental, loving service of Vasudeva means constantly hearing the glories of the Lord. The principles of Bhakti Yoga, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnoho, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanivedanam, are the only means by which perfection can be attained. Simply by hearing the glories of the Lord, one is elevated to the transcendental position. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. No wonder Srila Prabhupada has asked us every day to sing these lines. Guru Mukha Padma Bhakko Chitte Te Korya Aiko. What does it mean? I want to make my heart the same thing as what I'm reading in your books. That's what it means. Right now there's a difference. We have a formal, what do I want to say? Deference to the order of the spiritual master, because we know that it's an offense against the holy name to disobey it or neglect it. More likely we neglect. We don't flagrantly disobey so much. But the idea is that when it actually becomes our real desire, then we are solidly situated. That's the difference between sadhana bhakti and raga bhakti. Raga bhakti means it's what you want to do. It's not just what you are disciplining yourself to do or what somebody else is forcing you to do. So that's a very important point, and Prabhupada is emphasizing it here as he often does. The most important thing is hearing, because everything begins with hearing. Shravanadi shuddha chitte karaya udai. The dawn of awakened Krishna consciousness within our hearts is affected by the process of bhakti, beginning with hearing. So that's the next verse that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes. So what is the take-home message from this? He says bhakti is both the ends and the means. Bhakti is the means by which we get this causeless knowledge and detachment, and bhakti is also itself the goal of that causeless knowledge and detachment. And he gives the example in this regard because somebody may think, well, I'm engaged in bhakti yoga and I'm doing my best, but tears are not coming from my eyes when I'm chanting the name of Gauranga, like Narottam Das Thakur characterizes. So therefore, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says the difference between this neophyte Krishna consciousness in which we are working under the discipline of the Shastric regulations, sadhana bhakti, and advanced Krishna consciousness in which we actually feel something and want to do this. It's like a green mango and a red mango. They're both mangoes. They're both authorized. They're both accepted by Krishna. We will please the Lord if we do either one of them. Equally, we will please the Lord, as long as we have no hetu, as we've already described. But one of them is immature, and the other one is mature. Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Harinama Chintamani, I think it's Harinama Chintamani, one of his books, he mentions that Nama Paradha, when we're talking about offenses to the holy name, some offenses are the result of simple immaturity. Those offenses are not so serious. They're not so grievous because it's understood when a child is learning how to walk and he stumbles and falls from time to time and just gets up again and keeps trying to walk, that can be overlooked. But when somebody knows how to walk already and he keeps falling again and again and again because of intoxication perhaps, what kind of intoxication? Intoxication with the self, intoxication with things, other selves, intoxication with things of this material world. That kind of aparadha is more serious. And so they're not comparable. You cannot claim to be a red mango if you're only a green mango. This is the point. A very important point. But bhakti is the same for both of them. The process is just like Prabhupada is characterized here in his purport. Sadhana bhakti means following the rules, whereas raganuga bhakti means you actually have some taste, real taste. But in both cases, it's not that you dispense with sadhana when you get a real taste, because what happens in that case, you probably will fall down again, because we're usually not as advanced as we'd like to fancy. But the activities are the same in both cases. One engages in following the rules and regulations of the Shastra. This is what Krishna concludes in chapter 16 of Bhagavad Gita. He says one should tasmat chastram pramanam te karya vijanataha. One should discriminate what to do and what not to do on the basis of what the Shastra says to do and what the Shastra says not to do. In both cases, it's vidhi oriented. Therefore, we say vaidhi bhakti. Vaidhi bhakti means it's based on the vidhi. Vidhi means a Shastric injunction. So, either way, we follow. Okay, so that's what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says about this verse. Sridhar Swami raises the question that we learn from the Shrutis that how is it that bhakti might arise from karma or from jnana, or as he puts it, dharmasya jnanangatvam prasiddham tatkuto bhakti hetutvam achyate. How is it that either dharma or jnana can give rise to bhakti? And he explains that this is why the speaker of the Srimad Bhagavatam has given us in the last line this particular qualification. Jnanam shayad ahaitakam. This is another way to look at ahaitakam. It has to be qualified like this. Otherwise somebody might think that bhakti and dharma and jnana, they're all the same thing. Or they're all the former, the karma and jnana lead to bhakti, which is a mistake. Now, Jiva Goswami has a very interesting comment on this verse as well. First of all, he's quoting Srimad Bhagavatam 5:18-12. Anybody know this verse? If I recite the Sanskrit, it may refresh your memory. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana sarvair gunais tatra samasate suraha harao abhaktasya kuto mahadgunaha manorathena asati dhavato bahihi. He says what sounds like an extremely prejudicial statement. Only the devotees have good qualities. Non-devotees never have good qualities. Fanatical. It sounds that way, but actually there's very, very strong science behind this. It's an authoritative statement, and he explains it quite well. All the demigods, samasate suraha, along with their good qualities, such as knowledge and detachment, they reside in the heart of a devotee, and they joyfully do so. They like the association of the pure devotee, because they are the ones who are in charge of dispensing these qualities within material existence to the non-devotees. But they feel regret in having to do that, because they think within their minds, these non-devotees, they're ungrateful, and they're just going to use what gifts we give to them against the Supreme Lord's interest. They're envious. And then we'll have to come back again and give them some bad karma for it as well. You see? But so they don't like to stay within the hearts of the non-devotees. Therefore, the non-devotees cannot keep their good qualities for very long. As soon as the modes change, everything is gone. As soon as the karma changes, they lose all their good qualities. But with a devotee, the word is used, samasate, samyak asate. Completely, permanently, they reside within a devotee's heart. Because the presence of those suras in the heart of the devotees, and the presence of the sura's qualities in the hearts of the devotees, that is a direct result of their ahaituki bhakti, their unmotivated, uninterrupted devotion to the Supreme Lord. And the demigods very deeply respect that. They say, we want to stay here, because here we get the association of this great soul who's using his minute independence to surrender to Krishna. Therefore they stay. This is the understanding. So Jiva Goswami also, he further explains the word ahaitukam. Jnanam ashu ishat tat shravana matrena janayati. Here we can see why Srila Prabhupada has said the things that Srila Prabhupada has said in his purport to the fourth canto verses that we were just reading. Srila Prabhupada writes, simply by hearing the glories of the Lord, one is elevated to the transcendental position. This is exactly what Jiva Goswami just told us in his commentary on today's verse. These things come about immediately, simply by hearing. Simply by hearing. Shravana matrena janayati. Janayati ashu vairagyam jnanam cha. This is the idea. Okay, so I'm going to stop here. Does anybody have any questions or any comments on what we've heard so far? Yes, Madhava Mahotsava Prabhu.
Thinking in the last line, it says manoratena, and of course, the way you explained it is beyond what I ever thought about. But I was thinking like manoratena, if they're on the mental chariot of the mind, if we're just on the mental platform, and it's always sankalpa, vikalpa, accepting.
Non-devotee means he's on the mental platform. That is the implication here.
And I was thinking, as a devotee, one who has controlled the mind, the super soul is already reached, and that as a devotee, when we chant, I was thinking that's the reason, is that our decisions as devotees are governed by Shastra, not our mental rat, our mental chariot.
That is correct. That is the correct interpretation. A person who has decided to lead his life in terms of Shastra Vidhi, as Krishna describes in chapter 16, that is the person who is a Sura. It's described like this in the various places in the Puranas. Anybody know the verse? Dvau bhuta sargau lokesmin daiva asura evacha Vishnu bhakta smrto daiva asuras tadviparyaya. So the devotees are those who follow what the smritis, what Krishna has given them, instructions of Krishna. And the asuras are those who oppose that. In principle, they oppose. No, we don't want to do that. We don't want to follow these things. Okay? These people are called the non-devotees, or even demons, as Krishna says here. But what is it? Vishnu Purana, I think. Yeah, that's an important point. Okay? Anything else? Yes, Prabhuji.
Bhakti yoga prayojita, essentially for those whose goal is bhakti. For them, I'm sorry. For those whose goal is bhakti, for them, ashu vairagyam, fast, they experience in a speedy manner.
I'm not sure.
What about those people who have other goals like going back to Godhead, for example?
Well, that's not a bad
They
goal.
also have the same experience or different?
I'm sorry?
From what I understand is for those who have a goal of bhakti yoga, for them, the results are fast,
Yes.
jnana and vairagya. But for those what about other people who may have a goal of going back to Godhead, let's say, in this very life?
Either way, I think it's fast as long as one is a haitaki. But I think what you're saying is what if somebody has a motive, right?
So that's a motive.
Yeah, that's also described elsewhere in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that even if you have all desires, you should still worship Krishna. For that matter, Krishna is so liberal that even if you're not willing to worship Krishna, but you're willing to worship somebody, then also, kshipram he says, very quickly men can attain results of worshiping devatas, for example. But the problem is that those qualities, they very quickly leave again, as we were describing, because the demigods don't really like to facilitate such people. So they don't stick around with the devotees, but with the non-devotees. But with the devotees, they like to hang around because they relish that association. This is the idea. So you may get some result. Krishna will give you whatever you want. It's described by the acharyas in their commentaries, especially in chapter 7 of Bhagavad Gita, that when a devotee is sincere but not completely mature, he's got material desires still, then that person, Krishna may send him to Svargaloka, and he can continue his devotional service in Svargaloka if he's able. But generally, because of weakness, they get distracted in Svargaloka, which is why it's not a good idea to do that. Is that okay? But with a devotee, the doubtless and fearless path of success for everyone is to chant the holy name in pure devotional service, which means with proper sambandha gyan, which means he's going to be a haitaki. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.